All right, so we are joined by the lovely City of Clinton Therapeutic Services staff over there in Clinton, Mississippi. My friend and Ridgeland High School graduate Elizabeth Winder and her boss Chandra Broomfield, and we're recording this for our friends at Ridgeland High School, Rosa Scott, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. And I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School, and we are talking about the Human Services Career Cluster. And you guys have such an extraordinary program over there in Clinton, and it is the only one like it in the state, which is so cool of the different populations you guys reach. And we've been talking about in class all the different areas and all the different skills that are needed. So we'll let you guys talk about, Elizabeth, you're a Ridgeland High graduate, Southern Miss graduate, so talk about your educational background. But before we do that, and I know you get so sick of me asking you this, but I think it needs to be heard. Your dad is one of the greatest football players in the history of Mississippi. He played 10 years in the NFL, 3 Super Bowls, 2 Pro Bowls. But for all these young people that are interested in playing sports in college and after that, he still works, and he runs his own business, invested his money he got in the NFL to open the trucking construction business you guys have. And he's done extremely well and has probably made more money doing that than he ever could have made playing pro football. So it's important for these kids to understand, if you want to have that as your goal, that's great. But you guys have a family business that was made off of that money that he got from being such a great football player.
Right. Yeah. My dad always loved construction work. He'll tell you that in a heartbeat. He said, I'd rather be on a bulldozer than on the field any day. So that was always like a goal of his. He never really had aspirations to actually play professionally. He said it just happened. He was like, one day I was playing football. Next time I knew I was with the Broncos. So just having a backup plan because things can change. Fortunately for him, he didn't retire because of injury. He just retired because, he wanted to. But sometimes the unexpected happens. And so having that backup plan for certain things is really important because, you can always have goals, always have aspirations and dreams, but, having a plan B, C, and D in your back pocket is also good too. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So, and before we get into what you guys do, again, let's talk about your educational background, Ridgeland High School, Southern Miss, and then to your current position, the City of Clinton.
Okay. So like you said, I went to Ridgeland High School, graduated in 2016, and then went off to USM straight out of high school. Thought I wanted to be a kinesiology major, got around my sophomore year and realized this is not for me. And I was talking with my advisor at the time, and she was telling me some of the programs that I could get into without having to take over any classes. And so she mentioned Therapeutic Recreation, TR. And I was like, that sounds interesting. I've never heard of that before. Wow. And so I went ahead, I'm like, I choose that one. And so we did my paperwork and everything. And then this was over leading up to Christmas break. And so right before I went back to school for the spring semester, I met up with Dr. Rick Green, who is the director of our department back at USM. Met with him, met with Mr. Peel, who was also a professor in the department, and Ms. Marlowe. And after I had that meeting with them, and my mom came down with me as well, after I left that meeting, I was like, oh yeah, this is the major that I want to be in. This is the major that, I want to be a part of. And so that's basically how I got into TR. And then after I graduated during the pandemic back in 2020, I sat for my certification exam and passed on the first try, thank God. And so now I've been with the City of Clinton for almost a year. It'll be exactly a year here in next week. Yeah, next week. So I've been enjoying every minute of it. So,
and PR is such a fast-growing field in all types of areas. I mean, you guys are exclusive over there in the City of Clinton, but it is growing in other areas of human services. I mean, you got it in rehab facilities, you got it in hospitals. So it is a very fast-growing field that needs a lot of good young people to come through it. Now, Ms. Broomfield, I just met you, so I don't know about your educational background. So why don't you tell us about how you got into this position?
Well, I'm a graduate of Hattiesburg High School a few years ago. I'm coming up on my 20-year class reunion from high school, but I also attended Southern Miss. Dr. Green, that Liz mentioned, is the biggest advocate that you could ever meet for therapeutic recreation. As therapeutic recreation was a discovery major for Liz, I went to USM with that intention of majoring in therapeutic recreation. And that's not common because most people don't know about it. But I was fortunate enough to have a sister who was a year ahead of me, and she went into the program as well. So when she went and met with the professors, I got all the information and I was hooked as soon as I found out. So a year before going to college, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. But I did go through USM, graduated and did an internship at the VA in Biloxi. And then I sat for my certification exam and came to the city of Clinton. I've been here for 15 years. October 1st made 15 years for me. So had many different titles, but the job remained the same. So I was very, very thankful that our city leadership saw the need to separate us from the Parks and Recreation Department and make Clinton what it is, a separate or a standard for other cities to have a therapeutic recreation department specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys are really moving the needle. And before we get into your specific program, for the kids who may not know, they hear therapeutic recreation. They hear the therapeutic part, so they're thinking science and the body and everything. But then they hear recreation, they're thinking play and games. And it's a beautiful combo of those two things combined, because you have to be an expert in both of them. So talk a little bit about some of the things you have to learn and the things you have to learn as you go when you are helping your clients, because you guys deal with so many different types of clients, a wide range of ages and abilities there in the city.
You want to take this one or you want to?
You can. Well, the science aspect, like Liz said, her kinesiology background when she was in school helped her to come over into therapeutic recreation. But people, like you said, hear the therapeutic part and they think we're therapists as in that we can physically move you around and make you do what you need to do. But we use recreation activities to achieve the same goals. Mm-hmm. So we always joke and say we get paid to play, which we actually do. We get paid to play, but that play has purpose. Mm-hmm. So we use different modalities to help you achieve goals depending on the individual. We have overall goals, but each person is different. As we know, my abilities may not be the same as Liz, my deficits may not be the same as Liz, but we take that individualized approach to everything that we do. And we do serve ages 6 and over in both of our programs for senior adults and for the special needs population. So we just use the adaptations that we need for each program to achieve the goals.
Yeah, and you talk about adaptations because all of us here are able-bodied and we aren't senior adults yet. You enjoy the same types of activities, but in order to properly have the service you need, because if you are disabled, you're not going to be able to play the same sport. You can play an adapted version of the game, an adapted version of the exercise. And obviously, as we all get older, your body changes, it becomes more fragile. You have to have things adapted in order to properly serve you. So it is a lot of research, and I'm sure you have some technology involved and data, as well as your own trial and error with experience.
Right. Yeah. We actually have, like, in our abilities program, there's a young lady that's a part of it. Her name is Esther, and she uses a mobilized wheelchair, and she plays soccer with us. Wow. So her dad, I think, lowered her chair some. That way she's able to, like, when everyone passes the ball to her, she's able to catch it in between, like, the chair and the tires. And once it's in there, it's in there. Nobody is getting to it. Instant goal for her. And even with, like, our chair aerobics classes in the name, we do seated aerobics instead of, like, standing aerobics with, like, our older adults group, the Living Young program. And it's brought results. Like, people of all, ages and sizes and everything and abilities have said, like, oh, this has helped me with my balance, or this has helped me, be more limber or boost my stamina.
Or avoid surgery.
Right. Or avoid surgery. Like, one lady, her name is Miss Nancy. She was saying the other day, she was like, I was supposed to have back surgery earlier this year, but since I've been coming to chair aerobics regularly, that's helped me, not have to have a surgery again. So it comes with a lot of benefits, making sure that everyone is included and everyone is involved.
Yeah, and also it really helps the blood pressure and circulation in the older population, because even though they're not moving like we are, they're still able to move their limbs, which gets their blood flowing and can really prevent a lot of serious health issues. So obviously, Obviously, you guys have unlike anything else in the state, right there in the city of Clinton, because you're the only therapeutic recreation department in the state of Mississippi that is through a city, which is incredible. So let's start with the you have the special needs area where you deal with it's called the Challenger program, right?
It's the abilities program.
The abilities program. So, so talk a little bit about that and how you adjust the therapy and the recreation for this population.
So the abilities program has a Challenger League aspect, which is all sports. We offer basketball, softball, kickball was added this year, soccer, and bowling. Mm-hmm. So those are the primary sports that we offer. And those are all geared towards different skills. You think about what it takes for you to play basketball. A lot of our individuals, we do have age 6 and over. So one adaptation we make for basketball, we lower the goals. We have some who can stand past the half court mark and make the goal every time. But then we have others who have to go right under the goal to get it in. So we kind of adjust that height to kind of meet everybody where they are. For softball, we have coach pitch, and we adjust the way that we pitch per person. We may have someone like Michael who's in he's in a wheelchair or a walker. It's an assistive device that's like a walker, but he has limited range of motion. So rather than standing however many feet you're supposed to stand to do softball, you come to that person and make it to where they can actually participate and have full benefit of the program.
Or use the tee.
Or use a batting tee. Bowling, we use ramps for those who have limited range of motion. Like Esther, she has limited motion in her wrist and she's in a mobilized chair. So she would use a ramp to place the ball and still make that goal. Soccer, we just adapt for the person, mostly in soccer. We have a larger goal, so you have a better chance of getting it in the goal, but we don't use the youth size goals or anything like that. So we just make those adaptations based on the sport and the individual. So
yeah, and when it comes to, and again, it's more on the therapy side, you're using recreation, you even though it's giving them exercise, it's getting them outside, the mental and social improvement that a person would get off this, because they're not in a traditional school setting for the most part, and then they obviously aren't in a traditional sports setting. So it gives them that team, the feeling of being on a team, and the ability to socialize with people they probably won't see on a regular basis. So how does that benefit the kids that are going to take part of this?
It benefits them greatly. I know since I've been here, and even when I actually interned here, full circle moment. I interned here and now work here. And some of the participants that I remember seeing when I was interning now, like they have just blossomed. Like Aiden, for example, he was very shy, would probably not speak to you or anything like that. But now he comes up to me and looks at me crazy whenever I pass by and not speak. And just some of them have, made friends within the program, as well as, just have become more vocal about, what they like, what they may dislike, and as well as, have gotten even a bit more competitive as well. So it definitely brings, improvement. I know for a fact they all look forward to it when we have a game on Monday nights. They're running to the field, or they're running to where we are, to participate, and they're looking forward to it. I know with like kickball, they especially loved it. The Clinton High School, the baseball team and softball team, our last game, they hosted it there at the campus. Oh, wow. And so many students came out to support them and everything, and they completely loved it. They had their own cheers section. They had their own student section. They had made them personal flyers and posters.
Awesome.
So like that just like really, it made me all warm and fuzzy on the inside, but they really enjoyed it to the point where like they're asking like, when are we playing kickball again? When are we doing that again? And we're like, well, it's going to be next year before we can do it. But it has really caused them to just grow and be more social, and just be more themselves in everything that they do outside of, Challenger League and everything. So it's just amazing to watch and amazing to see the smiles and the laughs and stuff. So it's good.
Yeah, and I'm obviously not a TR expert, but just from my little background in kinesiology, it would make sense to me that if a person is disabled, you want to strengthen the muscles they can use so they don't become even more disabled. Because I think in the past, that's something we really saw a lot is this person's in a wheelchair, they don't get out, they don't get involved in anything, and the muscles they do have, they get even weaker. So it's just great that you're able to do that. Now, you have your Living Young program, which is geared towards senior adults, which is unlike any, you see the Challenger leads across the state, just not through the city. And now you've got the Living Young program in the same department, which is unbelievable. So talk a little bit about that and what all you guys do for the senior citizens there in the city of Clinton.
We have a very active group. A lot of times people will come and try to, or just come in to see about the program, and they say, well, I don't need to be with those old folks. They'll say that, and they're over 60. But then when they come and they experience the group, they think, oh, they're just like me. Because you hear senior and you think wheelchair, or you think walker or cane. And that's not always the case. That's a stereotype that a lot of people have. We have ladies in their 80s who move around circles around us, 90s even, that can do the same. So, and that's because they're active. They come here and they get involved in the social activities and the exercise and the sports and the games, all those things that are stimulating their mind and allowing them to continue that, like you said, use the muscles that they have and strengthen those, or continue to strengthen those, and then gain strength in some other areas. For the aging population, falling is a very big possibility. So the programs that we do help them to prevent that, because a lot of people, once they fall, that's the beginning of a decline. So we want to prevent those small things, what they may view as small things, like being able to move your ankle in a circle. You may think, oh, I can't do a full circle, but if you strengthen those muscles, that can prevent you from falling and from having other complications later. So we like to keep them very active. We don't sit and play bingo all the time. They love bingo though. They do. But we do that once a month. We have lots of organizations that sponsor social activities. They love to dance. They love anything where they can, as we would say, cut up, because they're a very lively group of people.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because I think all of us, as far as our grandparents, say, man, I wish they get out of the house more. I wish they would do this. And you guys have really provided a great avenue for that, because like you said, it's not just the social club. You're getting them active, you're getting them moving, which could, at the end of the day, that could actually add years to their life and give them more time with their family. And on top of that, on the social aspect, they're not sitting at home getting depressed. They're like, oh, I miss my friends. And you guys have created a new social circle for them, and you've almost, you're really serving the entire person when it comes to their social, mental, and their physical needs, which is phenomenal.
We always say the hardest part is getting started. If you don't have somebody to come with you, but once you get here, you find somebody, but getting them to come on their own sometimes, because as you age, of course, you start to lose people in your life, and maybe those people who were your go-to people to go socialize with may not be with you anymore. But once they come through these doors, our group is very welcoming. We are a family in both abilities and Living Young. We operate as a family, and they really treat everybody the same.
And if you miss a day, they're gonna be coming looking for you. Like, where is so-and-so? I haven't seen her in a while. Like, they'll come in the office and ask us, and I'm like, you're right, she hasn't been here in a while. And so we may give them a phone call or something like that, and then a couple of days later they'll come, and everybody like, I missed you, what's been going on? So it's definitely a community and family aspect to to both programs.
And it just seems like a whole lot of fun. I got to come check it out. So
come and join.
So as far as therapeutic recreation, what are some other areas that young people could possibly find a career in? Because it is a fast growing field. It's a major at Southern Miss. I think it's the only school that offers a major in the state of Mississippi. So what are some other areas that this field could find somebody working in?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I worked at the VA my internship was at the VA. So you find that a lot in clinical settings, nursing homes, rehabilitation centers, hospitals, things like that. So you can work with the same populations that we work in. We're just different in that we offer it to a community rather than in a specialized facility. But really, every person needs therapeutic recreation or recreational therapy. Every person, no matter if you are having physical or cognitive disabilities or conditions or not, everyone can use it at some point. So hopefully Mississippi will get to where, say, Texas and Louisiana in some areas are, in Florida even, where therapeutic recreation is widely known. We have to explain it a lot, which is fine because that education is something that is necessary for it to grow. So of course, we're a little bit behind. We are very glad to be the first therapeutic recreation department, but we don't want to be the only in the state. So that's part of our mission, is to help other cities do the same thing that we've done.
Yeah, and I think Liz told me one time, while somebody in her family was like, "Why isn't this everywhere?"
Yes,
it's a good question, and we can't answer it.
We're working on it.
Can't answer.
Now I got some great questions from the students. Before I get to that, what type of volunteer opportunities do you guys have for people looking to do community service hours or get any experience in this?
So we just brought out, well, not just brought out, it's been out for a month now, but we have a newsletter that we put out every quarter. And we have, different events that we schedule. I don't think anything that we have coming up that we possibly need volunteers for, really. But I do know once the first of the year comes in, we'll definitely be looking for volunteers, because we'll be in a new sporting season with Challenger League, because basketball will start. So we would definitely need some people to catch some rebounds. And also just other events that we may have planned for the Abilities program, as well as for Living Young. So I can definitely provide my email, because I am over volunteering. I'm the volunteer coordinator. So if you all need volunteer hours, come see me.
The spring is a great time for volunteer hours.
The spring is really great.
I'll tell you, we'll be looking for stuff in the spring. So
one thing that I want to mention is our Sweetheart Formal. We haven't been able to do it with COVID in the past 2 years, but this is a time where our challenge or our abilities program, they get hair and makeup done. They arrive in a limousine, walk down the red carpet. And I think we had 80 volunteers in 2019.
Wow.
And 120 participants. So we always want, and volunteers literally have just as much fun as the participants, because you come to dance, you come to socialize, you come to eat. So that's a really good volunteer opportunity for anybody, and just to experience it. And I think that that has opened the eyes of a lot of people in our community to what a person with a disability looks like. Is not your typical stereotype. You can't say one person can do this and one person can't, or have this tunnel vision. And that's why we like to have volunteers come in, even if we don't actually have you physically doing a lot. We want you to be there to experience it, because that can change a mindset.
Right. Yeah, and the city of Clinton really has rallied around you guys, and it's great to see the community buy into what you guys are doing. But I got some great questions from the students. We'll get to as many of these as I can. These are all ninth graders. This first one is Samicia Brinson, and she asks, what is the most challenging part of including everyone in the games with different disabilities?
I think probably just making sure you're making it adaptable to everyone. It can sometimes be a challenge. I know that the people that are in our abilities program, they've been in it for years. So we've kind of known them long enough to know, okay, they'll need this, they'll need that. I know, for Michael, we mentioned earlier, we were talking. I remember we were talking in the office before softball season started. We were like, how is Michael gonna hit the ball? Because, you could pitch it, but, that might not be the best thing. And so we were like, well, we still have a softball team. So, figuring that out, it's great that there's a lot of minds in the office, and that, we all have a great level of creativity. And I think that really does help in those cases. That way, everyone feels included, and everyone feels like they played a role in what we have going on.
I think the hardest part is making sure that everybody gets enough attention, because we may have someone who doesn't need assistance, but we still want to give them that attention too.
Yeah, that's a lot harder than people realize. As a teacher, that's a big challenge as well. This is Markwell Harris. This is a great question. He asked, how do you create your therapeutic services, through research or through data? I'm sorry, through research or through experience?
Both. I'm learning, since I've been here for 15 years, and I did the program by myself for 8 of those 15. I'm learning to not always rely on my experience, because what I tried 8 years ago may not be a failure, well, what I perceived to be a failure 8 years ago may work this time. That's why I hire young people who have new and fresh ideas. But we go based on history, and we also like if we're trying to do something new, we would send out a survey to make sure that it's something that people would actually want to come to. But we do go to conferences and get new ideas and things of that nature. So we try to do a combination of being creative on our own, doing our research to see what's worked and what doesn't work, and then maybe trying some of those things that didn't work in the past, bringing them back and trying them again.
Now, this is Morgan Thompson, and she's asking about your college experience, about what type of scholarships did you receive going to Southern Miss?
Well, I know for me, I was a legacy. So I received a legacy scholarship, as well as just based off of my ACT score. I know USM, they don't have, as far as I know, that might have changed even in the short time I've been out of USM. There isn't a particular TR scholarship that you can attain, but I know for a fact if your GPA is good and your ACT score is good, it doesn't have to be great, because even if you have like a lower ACT score, like I know some people did, you still could get a good sum of money paid for, for your schooling, and a good scholarship. So mainly the GPA and ACT for legacy was a little cherry on top. Helped me.
Therapeutic recreation is a serving field in a sense. So a lot of times, a lot of people that I know at least did a lot of community service. Yeah. I went to Southern Miss on a Lucky Day scholarship, which is service-based. So if you have that kind of experience in your high school years doing community service and things like that, then you can qualify for a Lucky Day or citizenship scholarship at Southern Miss as well that could help with that.
Thank you so much for mentioning that, because I keep telling these kids to have the documented community service no matter what it is. If you can't put it on paper, it doesn't exist. So being able to have the pictures and the document that you did community service can save you thousands of dollars in any field in scholarship. But it's so important. Not only is it important to the community you're serving, it's important for the scholarship that you are trying to gain. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, this is Akila Brooks. And she asked, how does it make you feel when you help someone feel like themselves?
Warm and fuzzy.
Warm and fuzzy all around.
It's warm and fuzzy. There are so many times where I will, like we have a lot of new people in our program over the past few years. After COVID, a lot of people are seeking new opportunities and maybe found us and they didn't know about us before. But to see those new participants come in and to see them achieve something that they never had an opportunity or were never given the opportunity to achieve is just the best feeling in the world. We may have only known them for 2 or 3 weeks, but when we see how it makes them feel, it's just, I almost want to tear up.
I'm fighting to tears now.
It's indescribable.
Yeah,
it absolutely
is. It definitely is. And I know for me, being that I just graduated recently, so it's like, going from being in the classroom, doing the studying and everything like that, to actually being hands-on now, it makes the world a difference. And just even like the daily things that we do, besides like the special events, and just how I can literally see the progression and see the positive feedback. It just warm and fuzzies. And it makes me realize, like, I am doing something that's benefiting someone else, and that's bringing betterment to their life and just overall enjoyment. And it makes me feel fulfilled and making them feel fulfilled as well.
Yeah, and that's the best. One of the, to me, the best thing about this entire area of careers is that it's never the same thing every day. It's never monotonous. You're going to get to deal with all different types of personalities and all different types of people, and it would literally never be the same thing on 2 straight days. This is Trevin Johnson, and he asked, out of everything that happens, what is the hardest thing you have to deal with?
Knowing that you can't please everybody.
Yeah,
I would say we get more praise than we do anything. I will say that we have a very grateful and appreciative group of people that we serve. But when it's a person that you can't necessarily satisfy for whatever that reason may be, that's the hardest thing, because we want to do everything we absolutely can. But there's just for some people, some reasons that they can't achieve the goals that you have set for them, whether it's personal or physical limitations or cognitive limitations. It's just the disappointment that comes along with maybe not achieving a goal for or a professional goal or a personal goal for the person.
Yeah,
which doesn't happen often,
right?
But when it does, it's not the best.
It stings.
It's a setback for a comeback.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just got one more from the students. This is Caitlin McGee, and she asked, "Why do you want to work with this specific target population, and are you thinking of adding any more to your program?"
I enjoy it. I think for me, what helped me to solidify the population that I wanted to work with was my practicums. And so, as well as my internship, but mainly my practicums, because in the major, you have 3 or 4 practicums you have to complete before you graduate and then move on to your internship. So the practicums, you only go to like your practicum site, maybe it depends on your schedule, but you have
20 hours,
like 20 hours, I think, for the semester. And so I was in the Hattiesburg area. And so the areas that I worked with were older adults. I did work with at-risk youth and adolescents as well. And so working with those populations and seeing some of the things that I really enjoyed about it, and then going into my internship, realized like this is the population that I wanted to work with. That's the one that I wanted to be connected to the most, that intrigued me the most, and just sticking with that, I think really solidified, what I wanted to do and what population I wanted to work with. That's the enjoyment overall that I got from it. So,
and we're always adding.
Yes,
that's always, what can we do to bring more people or to give them a different experience? We're always.
I mean, and that really is all the human services career cluster is all about. It really is, finding ways to make people's lives better, whether they're disabled or not. And it really is great to see. Now we're almost out of time, and we thank you guys so much for joining such an incredible program. But before we go, tell these young people why Therapeutic Recreation needs them and how it's not going anywhere.
Therapeutic Recreation needs you because it doesn't just benefit you, it benefits others. And it grants you a lot of opportunities to reach out, like even outside of maybe clinical or community-based. Like I have a classmate who she's an adventure therapeutic recreation specialist. So she's doing like rock climbing and ropes course and all this different type of stuff. And so she'll take, I believe she mainly works with like at-risk youth. But she's even had, I think, some older adults that have, joined her program. There have been other people who, like they take trips to different places. Like I know that's a part of the program that we provide with our Living Young program. They're actually going to Gatlinburg next month. So and then of course, we do have conferences and, going to the conferences, meeting new people within the field. It adds so much to not only yourself professionally, but personally as well. And it can take you places than, you could ever imagine. Like some people was like, I never thought that I would be, climbing on ladders and climbing up mountains and stuff with TR, but I am. So the opportunities are very endless. It's not limited to just one particular thing or particularly what we do necessarily. There's different avenues that you could go through. And even if, for example, if you don't want to just stick with just TR, you're able to easily branch out into something else. Mm-hmm. There's another girl that I know, like she was a TR major at USM, and she should be in her last year of medical school at UMBC. So to become a doctor, or some people have gone on to OT school. So having that TR background has helped them, with their studies and things like that. So you're not just limited to just TR. You can stick with it and go far. Don't get me wrong, but you can also branch out if you want to and still have, TR as your background as well.
And I know some people may be entrepreneurial minded. TR is a profession that you can go on and do your have your own practice. You can do individualized therapy as well. You don't have to necessarily work for an organization. As Liz mentioned, with the adventure-based therapy, my sister was an adventure-based therapist for 12 years. So she went into different rehab facilities and did adventure therapy with those facilities on her own. She worked full-time, but she also had her own facility where she was, or business where she was a consultant at in memory care in nursing homes and adventure-based therapy and things like that. So as Liz mentioned, the possibilities really are endless. It's just what you want to do with it. Right. It doesn't have to look like everybody else's.
Right.
That's awesome. It's just such a great field. You guys have such a great program. It's really great to hear. And we thank y'all for making some time for us today. Our good friends at the City of Clinton, Therapeutic Recreation. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right. See you soon.
Bye.